There's a state you reach when you already know, but not everything. It's worse than not knowing, because you live in a house that looks like your house. You talk to your kids. You eat at the same table. You look at your wife, and you wait. My name is Daniel Hart. I'm 45. A week ago, I found out my wife, Claire, is cheating on me. I know it for certain. I've seen the messages, but I don't know who with dot in the messages. Just a name. A first name. A common American name. No photo. No last name. No context to tell me who this person is in my life. I decided to find out, methodically. Without making noise. At first, I ran through every man Claire knew, co-workers, neighbors, husbands of her friends, guys from the gym. The name wasn't rare. There could be 3, 4 people in our circle with it. I started eliminating. First, Ray, Ellen's husband. Heavy set, easygoing, adores his wife. Unlikely, but I checked his social media, looked at the activity. Nothing. Second, Craig, Claire's co-worker. I'd met him at a work event 2 years ago. Found him on LinkedIn. He'd moved to another city last year. Third, someone I hadn't considered yet, Marcus, my best friend. We met in 3rd grade. He was 8, so was I. He sat next to me in art class and said my dinosaur looked like a potato. We laughed about that for 30 years. Marcus was a best friend in the way that's rare in adult life. Not just a guy to grab a beer with on Fridays. He was my best man at our wedding. He was the first person I called when Ethan was born. He drove over in the middle of the night when my father died and just sat with me. Didn't say much. Just stayed. Marcus had known Claire as long as he'd known me, and that's exactly why I dismissed the thought the second it appeared. Some thoughts are so impossible the brain won't hold them. It rejects them. I kept looking. The following Friday, Claire went out again in the evening. Said she was going to Ellen's. I didn't object. I followed her again. This time she didn't go to the CAF. She drove to a different neighborhood, farther out. I kept my distance. Watched her taillights. She stopped in front of a house on a quiet street. 2 stories, dark blue siding. I had seen that house before. I had been inside that house before. I just didn't place it right away. Claire got out of the car. The front door opened from the inside before she even had a chance to knock. Someone was waiting for her, a silhouette in the doorway. Male, tall. Claire stepped inside. The door closed. I sat in the car and stared at that house, and then slowly, the way pain arrives from a deep wound, I understood whose house it was. I got out of the car, walked closer, stopped at the edge of the sidewalk. There was a car in the driveway. Silver Ford. I knew that Ford. I had helped pick out that Ford. We'd gone to the dealership together, argued over trim levels, laughed at the salesman trying to sell us heated steering wheels in Florida. The license plate. I knew that license plate, Marcus. This was Marcus's house. I don't remember how long I stood on that sidewalk. Time disappeared somehow. Then I got back in the car, sat down, closed the door. My hands were on the wheel, but I didn't start the engine. Marcus, who held Ethan in the delivery room and said, "Dan, you made a beautiful kid." Marcus, who helped me paint the living room 2 years ago. We spent an entire weekend. Got covered in paint head to toe, ordered pizza while still wearing our coveralls. Marcus, who was the first person I called when things got bad. Marcus, who sat with me the night my father died, 37 years. We had known each other for 37 years. I thought it would hit me immediately, that I'd slam the wheel, or walk up and ring the bell, or shout something loud and final. None of that happened. I just sat, and then I started thinking. Because that's how I'm built. I have to think before I act. Even when the world is falling apart. How long had this been going on? Did anyone else know? How many times had they been together while I thought Claire was at the gym? While I thought Marcus was busy? While all 3 of us sat around the same table at Christmas, Marcus had been at our house for Christmas. He gave Ethan headphones. He brought a bottle of bourbon that we opened after the kids went to bed. The 3 of us sat together, me, Claire, and Marcus, and drank to the old year. What were they feeling that night? What was Claire feeling when she kissed me before bed? About an hour later, a light came on in the upstairs window, then went off. I started the car and drove away, not because I couldn't go up there, not because I was afraid, but because I understood if I walked in right now in this state, it would be a scene, shouting, maybe worse, and that's not what I needed. I needed answers, full answers. How long? How serious? whether anyone else knew, and I needed to protect the kids. Ethan and Sophie had no idea, and until I was ready, they wouldn't find out. I'm an engineer. I build things. I know you can't demolish a structure without preparing the site first. I was preparing. I called Marcus the next day, Saturday. Said I wanted to meet, I needed advice on something. He agreed easily. No hesitation. His voice same as always, as if nothing had happened. I thought about that on the drive over. How easy it was for him to talk to me normally, to laugh, to be my friend. He opened the door with a coffee mug in his hand. Dan, come in. I came in, sat at his kitchen table, the same one we'd sat at so many times. He poured me coffee. What's going on? He asked. Nothing major, I said. Just wanted to talk. We talked for about 10 minutes. About work, about nothing. I watched him, his hands, the way he looked at me, and then I asked, Marcus, have you been happy lately? He blinked. First crack belly there, but I caught it. What do you mean? Just asking. You seem, I don't know, different. Everything's fine, he said. Too fast. I nodded. Finished my coffee. Stood up. Good, I said. I'll see you around then. I walked out. Got in the car. I'd seen his face in the moment I asked that question. Just a fraction of a second. Fear. Real, naked fear. He knew I knew. Or suspected. Or was afraid I'd find out soon. That was enough for me. Sunday evening, when the kids went out for a walk, I sat down across from Claire in the living room. No preamble. No build-up. I just sat and looked at her. Claire? I know. She looked up from her book. Know what? Everything. A pause. Long. The room was very quiet. Dan, don't, I said. Don't tell me it's not what I think. Don't explain. I was outside his house. I saw your car. I saw you. She closed the book. Slowly. Her face changed. Not guilty. Tired. Like she'd been carrying something heavy for a long time and had finally set it down. Marcus, I said. Not a question. Just saying it out loud. She didn't answer. But she didn't deny it, and that silence was enough. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, went out to the porch. It was evening. A quiet Sunday evening. The kids were coming back up the street. I could see them at the end of the block, laughing about something. I stood and watched them. Ethan, 16. 2 more years and he'd be off to college. He and Marcus used to watch football together. Marcus taught him how to tie fishing knots. Marcus, 37 years. 3rd grade. A dinosaur that looked like a potato. I thought about how many kinds of betrayal there are. There is the betrayal of a stranger. That hurts. There is the betrayal of someone close. That destroys. But there is the betrayal of someone who has been part of you since you were 8 years old. Who knew you before you became who you are. Who held your hand at your father's funeral. For that kind of betrayal, I haven't found a word yet. The kids reached the porch. Ethan said something to me cheerfully about something that happened on the walk. I smiled, responded, held the door open. Inside me, something ended. Something that had been built over 37 years.